Hello, it says that I'm live, and I'm broadcasting now live simultaneously on the Lift Aloft and Rob Reed channels. Before I get ready for church, got the music ready, I want to tell you about something cool. If you want to learn a little bit more about me, um, think, well, let me first introduce you to Rad Times on Roscoe. Roscoe Boulevard is a one of the, I guess, major thoroughfares in the San Fernando Valley, if you will. And um, the guy that started this podcast, and it just started, I was the second interview they put up, and now the third, like, because we talked so much that, and there may even be a fourth. Um, that I've helped to get them off the ground here, and in exchange of that, they, advertising my firm. But the guy that runs it, Lee Jackson, is a super guy. But I've known him since 1982 or something when we started to play soccer. So our connection is youth soccer as the primary start for us in the early 80s. And I want you to take a listen. You can learn a little bit more about me. The thing that I was laughing about at the beginning was there's a couple times where I use the SH word twice. And there's a little content in there, I guess, that's a little bit more adult, but not really. So here's the Christian guy that Lee Jackson brings in, my old friend, and they put an explicit sign on it, an E, just because maybe you guys, Andrew, his producer, maybe wanted to see the different things they can do with it or something. But I'm like, great, your Christian worship leader guy, friend, is the guy that gives you an explicit rating on your podcast. Anyway, it's not very explicit. It's just a moment of the SH word once in each of the first two. And I might use the word badass or something once, I think. So it's not so bad, but you wouldn't know. And to give you an idea, hopefully this won't be too loud. I haven't tested it. More episodes. The introductions, you can listen to Lee and what his intention is with his podcast. And it's cool. It's for those that grew up in the San Fernando Valley. I was one of them in the 80s and the 70s. Here's the beginning of the first podcast with me, part one. Not going to play the whole thing. Cool music, though. Royalty free.
All right, welcome to episode number 2. I'm Lee Jackson. Here we are at Rad Times on Roscoe with my producer, Mr. Andrew Ruby. Today we're at the law offices of Robert Reed. Now, Rob Reed and I still call him Robbie from back in the day. We grew up playing soccer together in the San Fernando Valley in the 80s, and here we are today. We're here at the law offices of Robert Reed, who specializes in personal injury, music and business law, adoption services, and also reps those like me who are starting podcasts and doing broadcasting. So we're here in his office today. Rob and I go way back. We're just talking about some of the times when we met. And so hello.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you for letting me participate in this. I'm looking forward to hearing your podcast on a weekly basis as we're doing.
That's right, weekly. Here we are, episode 2.
And I think it's suitable. I don't know where you were born, but my Rad Times on Roscoe started, we didn't talk about this, at Woodman and Roscoe.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what's at Woodman and Roscoe?
I do.
It's still there?
Yeah, Kaiser?
Yeah, where I was born. So yeah, so that was pretty interesting that he called this thing Rad Times on Roscoe because that's what the street where he had a lot of fun in the area of the valley where he lived. And it turned out what was funny is that I was born on Roscoe. So talk about how my Rad Times on Roscoe began on day one. So take a listen. The part 2 just came up yesterday. Part 1's 20 minutes about, and 11 minutes for part 2. You'll learn a little bit about me, my life, my family, in the first two, we don't talk about the Christian stuff, but they might put it in the third podcast. We did talk. I mean, we talked for I think 2 hours, so there was a lot of fodder, and he doesn't expect his podcast to be like an hour-long show. So they're splitting it up. But I think that you'll find it interesting if you grew up in the 80s to at least see, especially if you grew up in the 80s in the Los Angeles area, particularly the San Fernando Valley. So take a listen, help out my friend Lee, and maybe subscribe. We'll talk to you later. Have a great Sunday and have a wonderful upcoming week. And I'll be chatting with you soon. Bye.